Welcome, connoisseurs of the unvarnished truth and students of the celebrity psyche. You have returned to the digital pantheon of elite analysis. This is Mr. Magazine. In a world saturated with fleeting whispers and pixelated rumors, we stand as the fortress of depth, peeling back the velvet curtains of the entertainment industry to reveal the structural integrity of the lives lived within. Today, we find ourselves at the center of an emotional tectonic shift. A narrative that does not merely involve the glittering duo of Kerem Bürsin and Hande, but rather the profound, calculated foresight of a father who has dared to speak the unspeakable. While the public eye remains transfixed by the radiant glow of their shared smiles, a shadow has emerged from the inner sanctum of the Bürsin family. We are moving beyond the surface-level adoration of HanKer to investigate a clandestine leak that has sent tremors through the foundations of the Turkish tabloid world. It is a story of paternal intuition, geographic ambition, and the silent friction between two empires. Before we descend into the heart of this prophecy and analyze the words that have divided a nation's fans, I must ask you to cement your status within our elite circle. If you demand a higher caliber of storytelling, please destroy that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to ensure you remain enlightened. For the true patrons of Mr. Magazine, the To Join button is now active. By clicking it, you directly fund our independent investigative narratives and gain access to our exclusive inner circle. Your support is the very lifeblood of this channel. Now, take a deep breath, and let us explore the fracture in the fairy tale. In the modern mythology of Turkish television, few partnerships have achieved the near-religious devotion commanded by Kerem Bürsin and Hande. Their connection is not merely a relationship, it is a cultural phenomenon, a cinematic alchemy that has transcended the screen to become a beacon of hope for millions. For months, the narrative has been one of absolute symbiosis. Witnesses describe a Kerem who is revitalized, a man whose professional motivation seems inextricably linked to the presence of the woman at his side. The atmosphere on set is reportedly lighter, the energy more vibrant, and the motivation more palpable whenever the couple is in each other's orbit. However, the architecture of fame is rarely as stable as it appears from a distance. While the fans celebrate every shared glance as a harbinger of forever, a different kind of conversation has been taking place in the private corridors of the Bürsin household. Kerem's father, a man who has historically maintained a fortress of silence regarding the sensationalist whims of the media, has reportedly allowed his guard to slip. Information leaked from his intimate social circle suggests that while he acknowledges the current happiness of his son, he views the horizon with a degree of caution that borders on the prophetic. The leak suggests that the elder Bürsin does not deny the authenticity of the joy his son currently experiences. He sees the cheerfulness and the motivation, recognizing that Hande is, for now, the oxygen in Kerem's lungs. Yet, as an experienced observer of life's cyclical nature, he has voiced a chilling skepticism. His reported statement, "They're happy now, but I don't think this relationship will last," has acted as a cold wind blowing through the warm house of HanKer's public image. It is the kind of statement that transforms a romance into a tragedy in waiting, forcing us to ask, what does a father see that the world refuses to acknowledge? At the very core of this paternal concern lies a fundamental conflict of destiny. To understand the doubts of the elder Bürsin, one must analyze the diverging trajectories of these two titans. Kerem Bürsin is a man whose gaze has always been fixed upon the distant shores of the West. He is a product of a global upbringing, a citizen of the world who has never truly abandoned his Hollywood dream. For Kerem, Turkey is a chapter, magnificent and successful, but it is not the final destination. His moves toward international projects are not merely career steps, they are part of a larger, systemic restructuring of his life to fit a global stage. Contrast this with the empire of Hande. Hande is the undisputed queen of the Turkish domestic market. Her career is anchored in the soil of Istanbul, built upon the high-stakes world of the dizi industry and massive local advertising contracts. She is a cultural icon whose roots are deeply embedded in the Anatolian soil. While she is an international star by virtue of her reach, her professional priorities remain focused on the established mechanisms of the Turkish industry. Herein lies the fault line that the patriarch of the Bürsin family has identified. It is the classic struggle of the West versus the East, not in a cultural sense, but in a geographic and professional one. How can a relationship survive when one partner is building a launchpad for the stars in Los Angeles while the other is fortifying a throne in Istanbul? The elder Bürsin reportedly believes that these risky career choices and international ambitions will eventually create a distance that no amount of love can bridge. It is a pragmatic, almost cold assessment of how two powerful individuals, each pursuing their own excellence, can eventually find themselves on opposite sides of the world, both literally and figuratively. Beyond the logistics of filming schedules and international flights, the gossip world is buzzing with a more intimate concern voiced by Kerem's father, the psychological nature of his son's heart. There are whispers that the elder Bürsin views Kerem as a man who becomes emotionally attached too quickly, a person who builds high-rise expectations on foundations that are still settling. In the eyes of a father, this vulnerability is a liability. He worries that his son's rapid emotional investment leaves him exposed to a catastrophic level of disappointment. If the relationship is indeed destined for a geographic or professional fracture, the fallout for Kerem could be devastating. This cautious stance taken by the father is a form of paternal armor, a way to manage his own expectations so that he can be the stable ground when his son eventually falls. It is a portrait of a father who is preparing for a funeral while everyone else is planning a wedding. This creates a fascinating dilemma for Kerem. He finds himself caught between the paternal protection of his father's realism and the tranquil defiance of his own feelings. To listen to his father is to admit the possibility of failure, to ignore him is to risk a blind descent into heartbreak. Sources suggest that Kerem navigates this with a quiet, respectful discipline, never dismissing his father's wisdom but refusing to let it extinguish the fire he feels for Hande. It is an emotional tightrope walk performed under the blinding lights of global scrutiny. Before we continue our deep dive into Hande's response, I must ask our Mr. Magazine family. In a relationship, which is more important, the intensity of the present or the feasibility of the future? Is a father's realism a necessary guide or an unnecessary burden on love? We want to know your philosophy. Please, share your insights in the comments below. And tell us, which other celebrity families would you like us to investigate? Your suggestions drive our narratives. What of the woman at the center of this prophetic storm? Hande Erçel, ever the master of her own image, has reportedly adopted a stance of ephemeral philosophy. Sources close to the actress suggest that she is fully aware of the skepticism emanating from the Bürsin camp, yet she refuses to let it dictate the rhythm of her life. Her approach is one of living in the moment, a conscious decision to ignore the long-term forecasts and focus on the immediate reality of their happiness. Hande reportedly operates under a mandate of personal sovereignty. If I'm happy, I'll go ahead, if not, I'll move on. This is the mantra of a woman who has survived the furnace of the tabloids and emerged as steel. She does not pressure Kerem about the Hollywood dream, nor does she demand a lifelong guarantee. She understands that in the world of celebrity, forever is an illusion, and the only truth is the peace they find in each other's company after a grueling day on set. By ignoring the family's comments and the media's pressure, Hande is protecting the relationship from the outside in. She is refusing to let the external factors become internal problems. However, gossip columnists argue that this living in the moment might be exactly what fuels the father's fears. To a patriarch looking for a solid foundation, an ephemeral approach looks like a lack of commitment. Thus, the very thing that keeps Hande happy is the thing that makes the Bürsin family cautious. It is a tragic irony where the couple's coping mechanisms are the exact source of the family's anxiety. We must also consider the broader context of the fishbowl in which these two reside. The world of Mr. Magazine is one where a relationship is not just between two people, but between two brands. Every step they take is analyzed by millions of fans, thousands of journalists, and, most importantly, the business interests that surround them. The pressure of family expectations is merely one layer of a massive weight they carry. Commentators have pointed out that relationships born in the fire of great public love often wear down due to the sheer friction of the spotlight. The distance, the work schedules, and the impossibly high expectations of a global fanbase create a reality where normal life is a luxury they cannot afford. Kerem's father's prediction, "it might not last," is not just a personal sentiment, it is a clinical observation based on the history of the industry. He has seen the patterns of other celebrity couples who started with the same radiance, only to be extinguished by the cold realities of the business. This creates a scenario where the relationship is constantly being audited. Every weekend spent apart, every solo project, and every missed like on social media is seen as a sign that the patriarch's prophecy is coming true. This level of scrutiny would break a common relationship. For HanKer, it is simply Tuesday. But how long can any human bond withstand a constant audit of its own survival? If you are finding value in this deep psychological profile, please remember to support the channel. Clicking the join button is the most direct way to ensure we can keep producing these mini documentaries. And of course, checking that you are subscribed is essential for anyone who wants to stay informed on the true power dynamics of the industry. For Kerem Bürsin, the conflict is deeply internal. He is a man who respects his lineage, a man who values the experienced father figure in his life. Yet, he is also a man of immense passion. He reportedly views his bond with Hande as a special sanctuary, a place where he can breathe again after the exhaustion of his professional life. To him, Hande is not just a partner, she is a source of support and energy that makes the Hollywood dream seem possible. The dilemma he faces is one of loyalty. How does he honor his father's realism without betraying his own heart? How does he move toward Hollywood without leaving Hande behind? The gossip circles suggest that this emotional pressure is starting to show, even if the public smiles remain perfect. He is trying to defend his feelings while acknowledging the harsh realities his father points out. It is a story as old as time, the young man trying to find his own way while the shadow of the father looms large. But in the world of celebrity news, this archetypal struggle is played out with millions of dollars and global reputations on the line. The Hollywood dream is not just a career goal, it is the primary threat to the Istanbul love story. Which one will eventually win? As we close this chapter on the patriarch's prophecy and the uncertain future of Kerem Bürsin and Hande Erçel, we are left with a lingering question. Is caution the enemy of love, or is it its most faithful guardian? Kerem's father has spoken from a place of past experiences and realistic pessimism. He sees the fault lines before the earthquake begins. But love, in its purest form, has always been a defiance of the odds. HanKer has spent years proving the skeptics wrong. Whether they can survive a father's doubt and a geographic fracture remains the most compelling drama on television, one that doesn't need a script. Now, I turn the microphone over to you, the brilliant audience of Mr. Magazine. Who is right? The father with his realistic warnings, or the couple with their ephemeral happiness? Do you think the Hollywood dream will eventually tear them apart? Let us know in the comments below, I read every single one of them. Please, do not forget to like this video if you appreciated the depth of this investigation. Subscribe to Mr. Magazine to ensure you never miss the truth, and consider hitting the join button to support independent, high-quality celebrity journalism. Until the next revelation, keep your eyes on the stars, but keep your heart on the truth. This is Mr. Magazine, signing off.